Imagine not being Leeds, not feeling this pain, not dancing through thunder, not walking through rain. Imagine not rising with fists in the air when the world turned its back and no one would care. We've lived in the ashes, we've drowned in defeat, but still we stand proud on our battered old feet. Imagine not loving with all that you are. Imagine not being Leeds.
We love you, Leeds, Leeds, Leeds.
Good morning, happy Saturday, or is it a happy Saturday if you're a Leeds United fan? So news broke through the night, Fabrizio Romano, as he does with the old here we go, Sunderland to sign Diarra, agreement in place, looks around £27 million up front with £3 million on add-ons, so a £30 million package, basically the Job Bellingham money, all been spent on Habib Diarra. Leeds is, what would I say, as of up to date really, has been Leeds United's #1 target. That may have shifted even before the news broke during the night. We're stepping up interest in Mooney's, haven't we, at Fulham. Some would say he's our primary target now, obviously different positions. But in terms of that midfield position, we've been linked with a few players, Longstaff, Siddiqui. But obviously I'd say Habib Diarra has been the one that's got Leeds fans most excited. And it's probably been the strongest link we've had. And there were even murmurs that he'd been at Thorpe Arch before the England game, which I think got squashed pretty early. But yeah, we got excited with that one. A lot of Leeds fans tuned in to watch him play against England, thinking he was going to be one of our next signings. And obviously Senegal international, he'd been captain at Strasbourg as well at only 21 years of age. Box-to-box midfield, everything we'd probably want in a signing for Leeds United. He can do the defensive side at work really well, but he's very capable going forward as well. You know, he's that box crashing 8 that we've been crying out for. So we have got other targets. I think Siddiqui would be a good option, and he'd be half the price, maybe a little bit less than that. Obviously Longstaff as well, so it's one of them where I think it's just the money. I don't want to be one of those Leeds fans who are going to say as if he's picking Sunderland over Leeds, but I think when you look at it, you know, the whole PSR issue, which is definitely there obviously in football, and we've got to juggle that massively. We've spent a lot of money the last 2 seasons in the Championship in terms of wages and stuff like that, trying to get back to Prem. When you've had someone like Sunderland who's come up without spending masses of money, I know they bought Enzo Lefebvre, but yeah, for me, there's probably a bit more wiggle room there on PSR levels for Sunderland. Obviously they've got a lot of work to do, as have all 3 newly promoted sides. What I would like to say though on the sign of Diarra, if it does in fact go through, which it looks likely to, is I don't want Leeds fans to lose a head. You know, we're a bigger club than Sunderland and all this. Sunderland are a massive club in their own right, yes, but Leeds United are huge, as we all know, and I don't think it's a case of he's picked Sunderland over Leeds because it's a more attractive sort of like proposition going forward, or you know, they reckon they've got more potential than Leeds going forward, because I just don't think that's the case at all. I think it's more likely just a financial sort of package on things. It's Leeds probably didn't want to go as high as 30 million. I think that's probably the maximum we'll go for any player. There's rumours we're waiting for Mooney for a little bit more than that, but I'm not too sure. I think we need to be fairly careful with what we spend. What I do believe is Sunderland have needed to replace that Joe Bellingham void. To get promoted the way they did, it was fantastic. Late goal in semis, late goal in playoff final, brilliant. But then to lose, I'm not saying the best player, because I do think Joe Bellingham is inflated his value, inflated his ceiling of talent potentially on the surname that he has. Obviously the Bellingham name, everyone wants him to emulate his brother Jude, but I do look at him and think, from their fan base's perspective, they've had to go out there and make a bit of a statement in that role, in that signing, because ultimately every newly promoted side has so much to do already just to compete and attempt to stay up. But then when you lose a couple of your best players, you know, Joe Bellingham is definitely one of their better players. They lost Tommy Watson as well, who's, yeah, he's a youngster coming through, but he got the goal that got him up. To lose both of them players before you've even kicked a ball in Premier League, normally you come up, that's good enough to keep all your best players, and then you build on that. The fact that they lost a couple of their key men before even kicking a ball in Prem were worrying, and I'm sure Sunderland fans will have been feeling that once the excitement of actually getting up, you know, sort of ends. So I think they needed to make a statement, and I think fan bases, you know, with banter and potential Leeds fans losing their head a little bit, Sunderland fans can rub it in a little bit that they've beaten us to a man, but I don't want to lose his head over it. I don't think we should. There's plenty of players out there. Diarra's 21 years of age. There's nothing saying he's going to come to Premier League and be a baller. We don't know yet. He's still young. He's got a lot to learn. Like I say, the potential's there. Did we want him? Yes. But there's got to be a cut-off when it comes to the money, and Leeds obviously weren't prepared to go to that £30 million mark for Diarra, which I have to agree with, to be fair. I have to agree with. Where Sunderland are going to push the envelope a little bit more, you know, due to the fact that they've got all that Joe Bellingham money and they need a statement there. So I understand why they've done it, but it's definitely not like a nail in Leeds United's coffin or like that. You know, it's still well early in the window. Leeds are linked with Douglas Luiz as well. Now let's not forget that Douglas Luiz is a fantastic player. Would you rather have Habib Diarra or Douglas Luiz? Sell on value and all that, you know, and potential going forward. Habib Diarra at his age, you may look at that. But to be fair, when you look at a newly promoted side, if we were to get a Douglas Luiz, which obviously there's no saying we will either, but if we're in for him and we look at him, maybe that's why Leeds United haven't gone for Diarra. Maybe there's, you know, I would assume wages on Douglas Luiz's part would be massive, but maybe the fee, maybe the all-round package might be a little bit cheaper or a little bit more viable for Leeds United, especially when you look at the experience he's got in the Premier League and the experience at the top level. Maybe Leeds United are looking at that, thinking, you know, you've got Longstaff experienced in Premier League, you've got Douglas Luiz, talented, so talented, what a footballer he is, experienced in Premier League, and then you've got Siddiqui, who's obviously a young lad, a bit like Diarra, not experienced in the Premier League too, but would be half the price, maybe less. So Leeds United, you know, we're run by shrewd businessmen. They've definitely got Leeds United's best interest at heart. They haven't got much wrong up to press. So is it a bit of a kick in the teeth for Leeds fans? Potentially, waking up to that news today. Sunderland fans will love rubbing it in, I'm sure. But like I say, it's 30 million quid of their budget gone on one player that is 21 years old and doesn't have Premier League experience. So you flip it, yeah, we wouldn't be saying these things if we'd have signed him. But now we haven't signed him, I am going to bloody say these things. But yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed. But up to 3 weeks ago, I didn't have a clue Diarra was. So if Sunderland would have signed him 2 or 3 weeks ago, we wouldn't have batted an eyelid, would we? Obviously, it's just been our longest sort of link, or longest, strongest link, going on for a few weeks now. Like I say, watching England game, everyone gets excited for him after he scored. But yeah, it is what it is. There's so long left in the window. I aren't going to panic. And like I say, I do think Sunderland had a lot more work to do. Now you could say they've replaced Job with a player maybe better than Job, maybe not if he were better than Job. Would Diarra potentially be at Dortmund with a progression of Real Madrid? Maybe. So maybe he's not even better than Job. So we were better than Sunderland by a healthy distance last season, come the end of the season. They've replaced Job with a player that maybe as good, if not better, maybe. But right as of now, they've just plugged a gap that they lost from getting promoted. We haven't lost any of our big hitters. So Sunderland, you know, they're doing bits. Look at that goalkeeper as well from, I think it's at Nice, which is decent for them again. But like I say, they had more business to do than Leeds to start with, just before they can even start building on what they had last year. So I'm not panicking at all. But let me know your thoughts. Are you disappointed? Where do Leeds go next?
So it looks like Sunderland are about to sign Habib Diarra from Strasbourg for 31 million euros, about to smash our transfer record again. We've just done it with Enzo Lefebvre for 20 million, you know, at the end of the season. So we're going to beat it again. A massive statement of intent, I think. I know it's a lot of money for a 21-year-old, unproven in the Prem, billed as a replacement for Job. But you know, I watched him play for Senegal against England the other week. Scored the second goal, looked really, really impressive. Pacey, strong, attacking midfielder, exactly what we've needed. Is it a bit much to pay for an unproven player? time will tell, but I just think it's a massive statement of ambition from Speakman and Louis Dreyfus. I didn't think we'd probably be paying that sort of money, if I'm honest, for players. I thought we'd kind of played safe. But I'm absolutely over the moon and excited to see him here. Apparently he's having his medical in Paris at the moment. Going to sign a 5-year contract. Absolutely buzzing. I've seen some reports on social media. Leeds fans are not happy kicking off, saying Leeds are a bigger club than Sunderland. Why is he come to Sunderland? I disagree a little bit. I wouldn't say Leeds are a bigger club than Sunderland. I think in terms of fan bases and club size, we're pretty much the same type of profile. I think maybe Leeds didn't want to pay that sort of money for an unproven player. We didn't know. Maybe we've just stole a bit of a march ahead of them in trying to get his signature. But I wouldn't say the Leeds are a bigger club than Sunderland, not at all. And I think we're both going to be at the bottom of the league, or round about that area, both fighting for these type of signings. So it's a massive bonus for us to get him, I think. And I'm really excited. Let's see. We can keep again with a few more. We're looking at signing the goalkeeper. I think Bulba, the Poland goalkeeper. Another one for 20 million euros. So exciting times for Sunderland. Like I say, it's not what I expected at all. I'm absolutely shocked, if I'm honest, that we're going to spend that sort of money on one player. But it's what we've needed. We know what the Premier League is. We know you've got to spend money. We know you've got to kind of speculate to accumulate. And this is the going rate for players at this level. So more than happy. Hoping to add to him as well, and get a few more over the line. But ultimately, it's a massive statement. Like I've said, we've beaten one of our rivals, Leeds, to a big signature, and long may it continue. And let's see if we can get some more. But take it easy. See you later.
Cheers, everyone. Take care. Have a good weekend. Leeds.